the next generation Xbox consoles they changed the way that we approach console generations, and that's exactly what Microsoft wanted. One of the things I've seen in the reviews is that there are no games at launch that you can't play anywhere else, or that are next gen only. Now, next month we're going to get the Medium, and we know Scorn and those type of games are going to be only on next gen consoles. But that's besides the point. The main thing about this is that Microsoft is blurring the lines more and more between console and PC. The mentality behind how they work, really. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's a reason I say that a game like Watch Dogs Legion or Assassin's Creed Valhalla is next gen to me, because it's never going to touch my current gen systems. And that's because the benefits and upgrades that it's going to provide is a huge reason I'm playing it on next gen consoles. It's why I when I saw Gears 5 demoed for the Series X, it's why I haven't played it since, because it's a free remaster, and you know, a lot of people are going to count Spider-Man as a next gen game, but not Gears 5. And the only reason why they're not counting Gears 5 is because you don't have to pay for it. No, to me, it's a free remaster, basically. What difference would it be if you had a game that's doing all this stuff, 4K 16 in campaign, ultra setting, PC settings level of quality, 120 frames per second in the multiplayer, and it's going to have new campaign content? That's a remaster. That's what we were paying for all generation. That, you know, when these companies kept reselling us these games, but now we get that for free. And to Microsoft, that's all an Xbox game. You see, that's why a lot of us are using the term Xbox ecosystem, because we see it. Everything Xbox related is Xbox now. And that's why I've been so prevalent on the fact that I'm done paying for remasters. When a console gives you a feature like Auto HDR that somehow no people are still not talking about, and is literally making games running better than ever, like Assassin's Creed Unity, that's stuff that PC gamers are used to, not console gamers. We're used to buying a new box and having dedicated games that's only playable on that box, and that's going to happen because, again, one huge, you know, and while the Xbox is an amazing legacy console, it's going to have its own games, like I mentioned, the Medium in a month, Scorn, and all that stuff. But this is really and I don't think the reviews get that. What the reviews are saying is that, you know, the console has nothing. You know, the usual. You know, the Xbox has no game narrative. Is still trying to push that, and you know, I understand, because that's old school thinking. But Microsoft with the Xbox One generation, from 2013 onwards, has been forward thinking, and you can't be stuck in the past when talking about Xbox anymore. So when I see the PS5 controller trying to get praised as the only next-gen controller, like the Xbox One controller is absolutely fantastic. It's the best controller I've ever used. There's a reason I have a collection of them. I like it way more than the 360 controller. I mean, the triggers are better. You know, they got stuff like the grips and even the textured grips. Both in the rubberized grips are fantastic. They have little quality of life things like triggers that have the textured triggers on some of these controllers. That's something that when you're using a controller that don't have one, you actually miss it. And the form factor is just better. There's no protruding battery pack. And all the Xbox Series X controller did was make enough adjustments to be different. Wow, perfect. but that's going to be ignored, and the PS5 controller is going to be pushed as this only next gen feature. But it's like the stuff. And not only that, I've noticed that a lot of the features is being ignored as well. Stuff that was absolutely fantastic and being previewed, quick resume and all that stuff, and how insanely fast load times are. Like, next gen is here, y'all, and there's a reason I can't wait for it, and there's a reason if a game is cross gen. Oh, and that's another thing, cross gen games. That's another one that's throwing people off. Because again, we're used to, for example, last generation launch, you had a game like Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, right? A game I played on Xbox One. I only own on Xbox One, and really, I wouldn't be surprised if people don't even know that's a 360 game, or because if you bought it on the PS4 or Xbox One, that's what that is to you. With cross gen, again, the line is blurred. And let me put it this way. A lot of these new graphic cards have been released, from AMD and Nvidia and stuff. The ones that are being sold out, or unfortunately scalpers are getting a hand on them. And what are they doing? They're showing old games and how they're playing better than ever. And the PC community is happy. And I think that mentality is what Xbox is. That's the Xbox vision and how they see Xbox, and that's why EA Play. That's why they're counting games as Game Pass and EA Play when it comes to Game Pass. Which, by the way, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order coming to EA Play November 10th, which means that if you have Game Pass, you'll be able to play that. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, so as we hit next gen, man, and and like Godfall on the PlayStation is a timed exclusive, so that's going to be coming to the Xbox Series X in May of next year, right? So you look at stuff like that, and the fact that Xbox is doing things like smart delivery instead of remasters, I think that's blinded people to think in the old way of you're playing an old game on new hardware, where to Xbox you're playing a game in the Xbox ecosystem. A game is just a game, right? And and I've been, and I'll be the first to say it. I love my new experiences. That's why I bought the Falconeer. That's why Watch Dogs Legions hasn't touched my Xbox One. That's why I'm getting Valhalla strictly only for next gen console. Those are next gen games to me. I don't care if they're cross gen titles. For me personally, but the flexibility that Xbox brings is the number one thing that I'm seeing people, especially these reviewers, missing when it comes to the next gen consoles. And I guarantee you that the best controller ever, which has some nice little upgrades, is going to be ignored for the gimmicks in the PlayStation controller. Because we've seen it before. How did the success go? How did that touchpad go, and all that stuff? And I'm not saying that none of the features in the PS5 controller will work out, but I mean the Xbox One controller had things like the adaptive triggers and haptic feedback. Okay, it wasn't as advanced as the PS5, but that's because that's a 7-year gap. And the devs weren't, only 33 games took advantage of stuff like that in the Xbox One controller. Now I think more than 33 games will take advantage of the PS5, but still, I can't see that lasting the whole generation. But my main point, man, is that the line between console, the way that we think about consoles, if you're an Xbox gamer, and how gamers should think of Xbox is it's not the same. By jumping in new generation and only those new games count. The way that it is now is that you jump into Xbox, and that's Xbox. Every game you play is Xbox. That's why every game. That's why every game is going to be playing better than ever. Auto HDR is going to be a feature. Um, that's why games that are notoriously ran bad, like Assassin's Creed Unity, is running better than ever on consoles. That's why a game, like I said, a game like Watch Dogs Legion, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, The Falconeer, and all that stuff that I'm picking up day one, they're next gen games to me because they're never gonna touch current gen consoles. Uh, it's just, yeah, it's just gaming has evolved more than a box, and gamers, these reviewers, they haven't caught up to that yet. Eventually they will, and eventually, when the games are coming and Xbox One generation is phased out, you know they're gonna see what I see, that a game is just a game at the end of the day. It doesn't, less and less doesn't matter. Um, Less and less doesn't matter what generation a game comes out, because it's going to be playing better than ever anyway, which is insanely amazing to me. And lastly, people bought so many remasters this generation that it was just downright absurd. And they're still trying to sell remasters like Devil May Cry 5, which I ain't buying. You should just made that free. If Gears could do it, if Man Eater, which is a third party game, could do it, then Capcom could do it as well, man. These remasters is bullshit. Yeah, also, man, the PS5 controller is gonna be pimped out as because it's the only major difference the PS5 have over this Xbox Series X, because it's not more powerful. Look at how you know the PS5 doesn't do like 1440p, for example, or how Assassin's Creed Valhalla is upscaled 4K 60, unlike the Xbox Series X, or you know, uh, and all that stuff. So yeah, I expect the controller to be pimped out, and it's funny because the PlayStation used basically the same controller for like 3 generations, and nobody once said, "Oh, the controller isn't next gen enough," until now, when and the Xbox controller is still superior. That design, the offset sticks is just so comfy for long term gaming. I mean, if you haven't used the Xbox controller, especially the Xbox One, man, I'm telling you, you don't even need the Elite controller to just feel how damn comfortable this is. I can't wait to feel how the Xbox Series S controller feels, because words cannot explain how much I love this controller for long term gaming. It's just I've never had a controller this damn good. Yeah. So at the end of the day, next generation is here. My hype level is like a fucking 15 out of 10. Uh, and Xbox is just absolutely on fire heading into the next game. And it's just changing the way that we think of generations, in my opinion. Because things change, things continue to change. In the same way that everything that Xbox One pushed in 2013 ended up happening, same thing is going to happen in this generation.